Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
But, right, Giants apparently are still, in talks, or possibly, right, with Gabe Davis, right? Now you're going like the extreme, right, with this guy here. One out of about, I think was with the Bills or his career. I'm going to look at the stats, right? I think 1 out of every 6 receptions for this guy. I mean, I think he's setting NFL records with receptions in a season. He's not. But, I mean, 1 out of like every 6 times he catches the pass, it goes for a touchdown. I mean, that's impressive. His time with Buffalo, he spent 2 seasons, right, with Shane and Dable in Buffalo, 2020 and 2021. 2022, 2023, he was with Buffalo. 2024, last season, he was with the Jaguars, although he did get injured, right? But the 4 years he was with Buffalo, also, I think he missed 2 games. I think so he's been relatively healthy. He's been available, right? Of course, we're talking about Buffalo, so he had good quarterback play. Let's not forget about that, right? He also had another good wide receiver, right, with Diggs, which obviously would help him out. Now, here in New York, he'll have himself a fine wide receiver if we sign him, bring him in here, okay? A lot of the attention is going to be put on Malik Neighbors, obviously, right, which would certainly help Gabe Davis if the Giants would have wind up bringing him in here. But let's see where we at here. Okay. Now, let's see. 2020 and 2021, he had 35 receptions. Whoopie-doo, right? But his rookie season, 35 catches, 7 touchdown receptions. 1 out of every 5 times he caught the pass, he went for a touchdown. Okay, it was with Buffalo. Yeah. His 4 years of Buffalo. Now, once again, in Buffalo, they got a pretty good quarterback there. Right? You got to keep this in mind. But he had 163 receptions, 27 touchdowns. So 1 out of every 6 times he caught the ball, he scored a touchdown. I mean, he's not catching 100 passes, right? His highest reception total was in 2022. He caught 48 passes, but he had 7 touchdowns. So basically, 1 out of every 7 times he caught a pass, he went for a touchdown. 2023, he caught 45 balls, 7 touchdowns. Last season with Jacksonville, he only had 2 touchdowns on 20 receptions, but he only played in 10 games. He got injured. But with Buffalo, his rookie season, he averaged 17.1 yards of reception, then 15.7, then 17.4, and 16.6. So with Buffalo, he averaged 16.7 yards of reception. So, and I said, his amount of times he catches a touchdown pass is just unbelievable. Reportedly in talks with playmaker in the NFL free agency. Giants addressed their quarterback position this offseason, bringing in Wilson and Winston along with Jaxson Dart. Now, the Giants are reportedly looking into offensive weapons. Now, but also let's not forget the Giants don't have a ton of cap space either. Connor Hughes of SportsNet New York reports that the Giants are in contact with veteran wide receiver Gabe Davis following his visit earlier this month. There's mutual interest between the two sides, but Davis has also met with the 49ers and is on the radar for a few other clubs as well, too. Now, last year, as I said, with Davis, He only caught 20 passes with the Jaguars, 239 yards. So he averaged like 12 yards of reception. He only had 2 touchdowns. New York could potentially have a small advantage in its favor. Giants general manager Joe Schoen worked as the Buffalo's assistant general manager when they selected Davis with the 128th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. And, of course, Dable was there, too. In addition, Giants head coach Brian Dable called plays for the Bills' offense with Davis during his first 2 seasons there. So, Davis at age 26 was released by the Jaguars just a year after signing a 3-year, $39 million contract with the club. However, across 4 seasons in Buffalo, he averaged 16.7 yards per reception, 27 touchdowns in 64 games. In 2 seasons with Dable as his play call, he averaged 507 receiving yards per season, 13 touchdowns, and averaged 16.4 yards of reception. While Neighbors and Slayton project to be the Giants' top pass catchers in 2025, Davis would fill an obvious role in New York. He could take Jalen Hyatt's spot, serving as the vertical threat that the 3rd-round pick in 2020 that the Giants at Hyatt never became. So we'll have to wait and see now. Given the recent reporting on Hyatt, he appears to be the player New York is trying to replace, and Davis would be an upgrade. Let's see what we got here, too. So, once again, here it says here, right? Deal between the Giants and Gabe Davis could still happen. Nearly 2 weeks ago, Davis took part in a free agency visit with the Giants. No deal is in place at this point, but appears an agreement between the 2 parties could still come about. Team and player have remained in contact in this case. SNY's Connor Hughes writes, Davis obviously represents a familiar face for head coach Brian Dable and general manager Joe Schoen after they worked together during their time in Buffalo. The recent visit would have allowed New York to elevate the status of Davis's knee as he recovers from meniscus surgery. That procedure ended the 26-year-old's debut campaign with the Jaguars. Davis came to Jacksonville as an established deep threat based on his tenure with the Bills, but he was unable to duplicate his production when healthy for Jacksonville. 10 games, the former 4th rounder only recorded 20 receptions and averaged only 12 yards per catch. The Jaguars' new regime decided to release him despite 2 years remaining on his contract. Giants receiver depth chart will be led obviously by Malik Neighbors. Let's see. Long attached to trade rumors, re-signed on another 2-year deal is Darius Slayton. Wandale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt, meanwhile, are still in place on their rookie contracts. New York's offseason additions include the free agent signings of Zach Pascal and Lil Jordan Humphrey, who's not so little. As a result, Davis would have plenty of competition for playing time in the event he were to sign with the Giants. The 49ers, the other team he also visited, have substantially more cap space as things stand. But if talks with New York continue, a deal could still be on the table, allowing Davis to reunite with Dable and Schoen. You know, I mean, that's one of those things. You know, that's why, like, you never want to, burn any bridges or anything like that. You know, you always treat guys with, courtesy and respect and all of that, because you never know. You never know, right? You leave the team here, right? And a couple of years later, Gabe Davis might come available. Now, once again, is he an all-pro? Is he a pro bowler? No. But, could the Giants use somebody like him? Absolutely. That was one of the things the Giants I really would like to see him get. Obviously, they can't really do it now. But next season, like either in the draft or in free agency, right, get another good wide receiver. That would really, really help. So, but if the Giants could ink Davis, right, as I said, the familiarity with Schoen and Dable is there. It would really, really be nice. Regardless if they get Davis or not, I really would love to see him, like, especially next season, get a wide receiver. I said, in free agency, I'm not sure exactly all of the free agent wide receivers that'll be available next season, but in the first or second day of the NFL draft, first couple rounds, if they can get themselves a wide receiver, Man, that would be absolutely freaking awesome.